I'm Anil Kumar, sharing with you test questions from previous test paper. Here is one from linear systems. I've copied the question. You can pause the video, copy the question, solve, and then look into my suggestion. The question is, a metal alloy is 25% copper, another metal alloy is 50% copper. How much of each should be used to make 500 grams of an alloy that is 45% copper? Now you'll notice that in linear systems you normally get these kinds of questions, and here is a neat way of doing it. We have two different things which we are mixing up, right? So these are two different things which we are mixing up to get a new thing, right? So that gives you a visual look. Now first metal is 25% copper. Let me write 25% copper here. The other one is 50% copper, that is 50% copper. What we need is 45% copper, right? So this is what we need. How much amount of each are we using? That is what we need to find. It says how much of each should be used to make 500 grams. We need 500 grams here, right? Now to get 500 grams, this total should be 500, right? But we don't know exactly how much. So we use X here and Y, correct? So clearly that gives you one kind of an equation. So we can write our first equation. We say X grams of 25% copper and Y grams of 50% copper. So these are our variables, right? So we have defined the variables. Now we can write down the equation as X plus Y equals to 500, since the total amount should be 500 grams. Now let's look into the second part, and that is to say relating grams and percent. So when you mix X grams with 25%, Y with 50%, concentration which you get is 25% of X plus 50% of Y should be equal to 45% of 500, correct? So we are saying 25% means over 100 of X plus 50% of Y, 50 over 100 of Y should be equals to 45% of 500, right? So that is what is the second equation looking like, right? You can simplify this writing here as in decimals. You could write this as 0.25x plus 0.50 y equals to 0.45 times 500, right? So that is how you could rewrite the equation. 0.25 is decimal equivalent of 25%. You could have written it directly also, right? So now we will again multiply this by 500 and rewrite this equation and number it as the second equation. So 500 times 0.45, let us use the calculator. 0.45 times 500 is equals to 225. 225. So we have a linear system. Equation number 1 for us is X plus Y equals to 500. Equation number 2 is 0.25x plus 0.50y is 0.45 times 500, which is 225. Now we can use the method of substitution or elimination to solve this particular question. We have X plus Y equals to 500. Now from here we can get what X is. So from here we can write X is equals to 500 minus Y. Substitute X 500 minus Y in the second equation, right? So let me call this as our equation number 3. So we'll sub 3 in 2. Okay. So if I do that, I get 0.25 times X, which is 500 minus Y, plus 0.50y, which is equals to 225. Again, let's use the calculator, multiply and simplify. 0.25 times 500, quarter of it is 125 minus 0.25y plus 0.50y equals to 225. 125 minus 0.25 plus 0.5 gives you plus 0.25y, which is 225. Isolate y, 0.25y equals to 225 minus 125, that is 225 minus 125 gives us 100. So 0.25y is 100, y is 100 divided by 0.25. So let's divide it by 0.25 to get 400. So we know what y is. Y is 400 for us. Let's call this the equation number 4. To get x value, we can write x as 500 minus y, which is 400. So we get 100, right? So in word problems, you have to write units also. Always, don't forget about it. So the answer is, we have 100 grams of X, and X is 25% copper. 25% copper, and we have 400 grams of 50% copper. So that is how you could actually solve such questions. I hope this method helps you to visualize, write equations, and simplify to find the solution. I'm Anil Kumar. You can subscribe and share my videos. Thank you and all the best.